It is 1 o'clock on the West Coast. It is Hug Nation time all over the world. Time is irrelevant because this is being archived, and whenever you hit play, whenever you are releasing this into your world, well then it's Hug Nation time then. Time and space mean nothing when you have digital archiving. Grandpa was always so excited about that when he would say, "So how long is this gonna last? Until there's no more electricity?" I'm like, "Yep." He's like, "Whoa, a miracle." So before we get started, let's take just a moment to recalibrate, shake off the day, settle into gratitude for a second. Take a deep breath. Thank you, universe, for all of our blessings. Help us to focus on the moment of now and all of the gifts that are filling it. Help us to see what we have, not what we lack. Help us to appreciate the gifts, the blessings, the people, and the love in our lives. Amen. All right. I'm excited today. And I'm going to tell you why. So, it is February, or February, and I'm excited because February is Valentine's Day month. Now, okay, Valentine's Day, I get a lot of, or I have a lot of feeling about. And that's not just because that time I spent a night in jail and they tattooed that heart and, you know, anyway, so Valentine's Day is this love-based holiday, and yet it is pretty much exclusively for couples. It's kind of a holiday that's really just for people that have been in a relationship between 3 months to 3 years. You know, sooner than 3 months, it's awkward. More than 3 months, it's like an obligation you gotta get. I mean, more than 3 years, you gotta get chocolate for that person. And if you don't have a relationship, it's like some sort of punishment. It's like you're pounded on the head of like, what's wrong with you? You don't have someone? Oh man, certainly don't go out to a restaurant. Don't, oh jeez. And so I know a lot of people that really get sucked into Valentine's Day as being this reminder of what they don't have in their life. So I wanted to talk a couple things or ways of looking at it and the things that are going on or that have happened. One of my favorite, well, let me just talk, first I want to mention just what Gala Darling is doing. She's got a thing going on her site where let me just pull it up and just read it exactly because it's so awesome. She's talking about this whole month as being, February is the month of radical self-love. Radical self-love. I so love that. She says, I say it's time to romance yourself. It's time for the greatest love affair you will ever know. It's time for a personal revolution, I say. You deserve to be your own darling. Get enchanted. Bewitch yourself. I say, if not now, when? Let's get busy adoring ourselves. So, galadarling.com, check that out. She's very, I think she's woman-focused in her tips and things that she's going to be sharing. But just what an awesome idea. I mean, I think, why not make it a holiday about love? And the greatest opportunity for love growth in you is self-love. Whatever pinch is on your personal love organ, it's going to hamper your ability to pump love into all of your relationships, whether that is family, whether it's relationships, whether it's anyone. And I think that the more you can build in the self-love up, the more you end up just giving love to all. It's a great little thing how that works out. You know, the more you forgive yourself, the more forgiving you are of others, the more patience you have with yourself. It's funny how that works. In fact, some would argue that the only judgment is self-judgment. Anytime you are upset about something that somebody else is doing, it is a reflection on a way you feel about yourself in some way. So, highly recommend Gala Darling. Yeah, she's awesome all the time, but especially let's hit it up when you're feeling like you need a partner for this Valentine's Day. You got one! It's you! So the other thing I want to talk about, or another thing that's going on this time of year. Actually, it's not this time of year. It was several years ago. My grandpa and I were contacted a few months before Valentine's Day by a 13-year-old student, a little girl in Reno, and she said, "My school has outlawed hugs. What should I do?" And we're like, "What?" Well, the first thing I did was I contacted her mom because I felt like it would be inappropriate for me to start a dialogue with a 13-year-old girl. You know, I'm a little bit more family-friendly now in my activities and my public persona, but at the time, I was publicly dabbling in things that some parents may not have approved or felt comfortable with if they saw that their daughter was, you know, their daughter's pen pal was hosting Globalgasm once a month. So I contacted the mom, and the mom said, "Look, I believe that this is an unsafe world, and there's a lot of things that I need to protect my kid from, but hugs is not one of those things." So she gave her a blessing, and so we started talking with this daughter and saying, "Well, what should we do?" And she's like, "Well, what the issue is really that some people feel like hugs can be taken too far, and especially if somebody is kind of uncomfortable with touch, and then other people are pushing it too far, and so the only solution is just to outlaw hugs entirely." We're like, "Well, what if there's some way that we could, like, wear an armband or something that would say, hey, I am open to hugs. I'm open to loving. I know that some people are questionable or have weird boundaries. Not me. I'm very open to affection and love and hugs. Plus, I don't get that. I don't buy that whole, like, well, it can be taken too far, and you never know what is an inappropriate and appropriate hug. You know what an inappropriate hug is. Come on. Who doesn't push their crotch in and go, "Oh, really? What? You didn't want me to squeeze your butt? What? What? That's how I hug, man. That's how I hug." No, that's inappropriate. Anyway, so ask her. We start brainstorming and stuff, and then this little, we think about all these ideas. We could do this and this, and she goes, "You know what?" This girl says, "What if we made buttons that said huggable?" And I was like, out of the mouths of babes, perfect, awesome idea. So we said, look, on Valentine's Day, we'll do that. Will be our protest day. On Valentine's Day, you wear a button or a shirt or something that says huggable, and that's your statement to the world. Look, I'm in the category of person that thinks hugging is fine, and I'm open to it. So if I'm wearing this pen, and and I'm not in the middle of a phone call or something like that, please approach me for a hug. Now, about that same time, Grandpa's health was deteriorating to the point that it was pretty clear that, unless something medical happened, he was getting close to the end and may or may not make it to his 95th birthday. So we decided to make this Valentine's Day into a celebration. A huggable day party at his place. We used to have a standing invite. Anybody that wanted to come over to have lunch with us was welcome to contact me, and we would organize and have lunch together. And a number of people did. It was awesome. But so I kind of put the word out, said, hey, if you've ever kind of thought in your mind like, oh, it would be cool to join them for lunch, come on Valentine's Day, because that's probably going to be the last chance.
Welcome from LA area.
Hi.
So we had like 20 or so people, all came, everyone dressed in pink and brought cupcakes, and had this live event that was just magical. It was an incredible experience for Grandpa. He was glowing.
You are our brothers, you are our sisters, and we send good thoughts toward you. Do have a good day, and your mind will be open to wonder and truth and beauty.
But one of the things he talked about, when the whole goal of it was, one, to make the huggable thing, the buttons, and the other was to say, hey, let's make Valentine's Day a celebration of love, not just couples. And so what are ways that we can do that? And when we talked to him, he, during the Hug Nation broadcast of 2007 Valentine's Day, he brought up that there's three kinds of love. There's eros, which is sexual or erotic love. There is phileo, which is your brotherly love. And then there's agape, which is like divine love. And that all three of those can be embraced and celebrated on Valentine's Day. So says I. And Grandpa Caleb. And he is the authority because he has white hair and he looks jolly. And therefore we have to trust him. No, I think he's earned my trust. Anyway, so I would say that this Valentine's, as well as the next couple Hug Nations, let's make them huggable days. You know, if you want a pin, they are available on Cafe Press, or there's even a link. If you go to HugNation/huggable, you can print it out. We didn't want it to be like a financial burden for people, but there's also huggable shirts and things like that. You reframe it. You know, if you're seeing Valentine's Day as a reminder of something that's lacking, let's switch it around. It's a day to remind you of what you've got. It's anyone that you love in your life, including yourself. I mean, that's the meat and potatoes of life, or the meat-based soy substitute and potatoes of life, or the raw vegan grain dish of life. Welcome, everyone. And if you're in the archives, welcome. Remember, it's not really where your feet are at that matters. It matters where your heart is at. The whole concept of Hug Nation is based on our physical selves, time and space. These are all tools, symbols. Just as this speaking, this recording is just a tool to remind us of that far deeper connection that we have together. That beneath our stories, beneath our issues, that we are vastly similar. So, oh, hello, this is Star. All right. Wherever you are, take a moment, grab yourself by the shoulders. Before we get started, let's just love ourselves for a little bit. Oh, thank you, body, for housing my consciousness. Thank you for all these gifts of awareness, and man, thank you, and all your crazy flaws. See my little thing on my head? That's kind of my cool little reminder of every time I look in the mirror. Oh yeah, cool, we're all flawed. Cool, we're all flawed. Makes me want to keep my hair short. Anyway, back on track. Too much coffee. Here we go. As you squeeze your arms, think of that body you're squeezing as just a symbolic representation of all the other individuals that you encounter. All these physical individual bodies that house stories, ego identities, and that maybe as you go through your lives, these people are in your way or you're in their way, and they become what you see as obstacles. Try to let go of your story, where you're supposed to be going and what you need to do. Let that slip away. And know that in this moment, you have all that you need. You are perfect, you are whole, you are full. You do not need someone to complete you. You don't need a job to make you worthwhile. And acknowledge that all the people that you've encountered this week, beneath their story, they do not need anything added to them. They are perfect deep down inside. Their ego story may be pretty annoying, but we know that's not who they are. And so let's imagine all the people we've encountered this last week as a glowing orb of just their perfect center, not the crap on the outside that we may have encountered. And just sink into that light, that warmth that glows from all the people we've encountered. We are just the same. Egoless, identityless, just an ember, a little spark off of the massive fire, rumbling warmth of consciousness, of love. And just sit in that for just a second. Part of the one, brothers and sisters, one family, one entity. on behalf of Grandpa Caleb, all the love warriors who are perfect, happy Hug Nation. I love you! And happy early Valentine's Day. We get to celebrate Valentine's Day all month, and by Valentine's Day I mean Love Month, Huggable Month. Madman, according to the way you spelled it, I do believe I am the best spiritual leader. In fact, I'm going to put that on my cards. John Halcyon, spiritual leader. I'm teasing because otherwise it'd be embarrassing. I certainly do not see myself as a leader of any sorts. I'm simply a fellow journeyer on the path. Speaking of which, though, had an awesome experience this week, and you know what? I'm going to share it with you. So, I think I mentioned. Actually, I don't know if I did mention in the broadcast or not, but I've been trying to think about other, moving forward into the future. If I'm going to be, I'd like to be more of a spiritual entity in my professional world. And so I thought about maybe doing coaching or some type of that thing in the future, maybe trying to do some one-on-one work, because I'd get paid for my, one-on-one time as a consultant, but it'd be awesome if I could also get, work to a place where I could get the same kind of financial model for what I really would like to be spending my energy on, which is, spiritual or self-help type stuff. Not a few days later, for me just kind of like saying that to my life coach, I got an email from somebody that I've never met saying, hey, I'd like to hire you to spend for a session once a week to do coaching type stuff. We had our first one yesterday. It was awesome. He's rad. He's I think very excited, and it was anyway. It was kind of like a solid example of, make sure you tell the universe what you want, because that's how it knows what to give you. And as soon as I kind of expressed that I was looking for this, then boom, suddenly it jumped in my lap. Now another thing on along that lines though, like manifestation and stuff, and this is something I think is critical, is that you got to, don't ask the universe for, ask the universe for what, not how. Like, I want to find a way to be more spiritual in my professional world. That's a what. I don't know what that looks like. I don't want the specifics. I don't know how I get there. I don't know. Don't say like, I want to get into this school, so I get this, and then so that this happens, so then this person gets me a job doing this. Like, by doing that, you're saying, I don't have faith in the cosmic plan. I don't have faith in the universe. I've got a plan, and now I just want the universe to help me. Like, that's not the same kind of surrendering to the cosmic wisdom or the divine wisdom, which, depending on how fruity you think I am, or you are, or the world is, you might think that's a silly idea. But, gotta say, man, thought creates. As Byron Katie would say, thought creates. A sandwich would greatly help me achieve my goals today. See, okay, that's a great example, Nicole. So I think as an illustration, one might say, I would like to be satiated and have my food and physical needs met with pleasure and then allow the universe to fill that in. There is, I saw a comment thread on a blog that just was like, somebody was going through some tough times. And Madman, maybe you can listen to this. So they were really struggling. They were really trying to figure out, like, this was like a really hard experience, and they just couldn't see the bright side, and like, you know what? I just got to be open and try to look, and just like look really hard for the silver lining. And somebody commented and they said, no, 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 no. Don't do that. If you look too hard for the silver lining, you'll miss it if it's gold. I was like, oh, right. Don't get too attached to the way you think the solution looks, because you'll miss it when it actually shows up. There's two basic theories on my quick urinating abilities. One is that I've got a little child's bladder, and the other is that I'm equipped with a massive funnel. And I'll tell you which theory I like, but, you know, point is, you know, God-given skills. You just thank the universe for those gifts and move on. There's a line in the Course in Miracles that is critical. It says that we are in no position to judge if we are in advance or retreat. And that's really a hard thing to remember when you think things are going bad, when you think, like, you know, we talked about this a little bit recently about, you know, when losing a job or a relationship ends. The reality is, I mean, who here has not had a relationship end and you were just like, no, 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 I can't live without you, no. And then like a year later, you're like, thank God I'm not with that person anymore. What was I thinking, you know? Or you lose a job and end up finding yourself in the right place for something that is actually feeds your heart, you know? And it's just like, the older I get, the more experiences, the more reminders, the more evidence I have that that's the case. I don't know what is in my best interest. I don't know what's the thing that's going to make me happy. I don't know the thing that's going to make me successful. I don't even know if success is going to be good for me. There's a great, I think it's a Taoist story or a Buddhist story, and it's come up twice in the last couple of days, so I'll say it again here. There's a farmer who, and again, this is paraphrase since it's been a while since I heard this, but there's a farmer who, one of his horses breaks out of the stable and gets away, and his neighbor's like, oh, bad luck, huh? And the farmer's like, hard to say. And then a couple days later, the horse comes back, and this time it brought with it this beautiful wild stallion that apparently it befriended out in the fields, you know? And the neighbor's like, whoa, dude, you certainly have good luck. And the farmer says, hard to say. Then the farmer's son takes to starting to tame this wild stallion. And in the process, it gets bucked and breaks his femur, like bad. Like he's laid up it can't work, can't do anything. And the neighbor's like, ooh, bad luck, huh? Farmer's like, hard to say. Just within the week, the local army comes through town and starts recruiting all of the men of eligible age to fight in the army of this some far-off war. And this farmer's son is skipped because he's ill-equipped. The neighbor says, ooh, you're so lucky. Farmer says, hard to say. And I think that's a really good reminder that don't get too attached to what you seem success. Don't get too attached to what you think is a setback, because you know the world is neither good or bad, but how we thinking makes it so. Is that the Shakespeare quote? Something like that. Anyway, that's one of those phrases that I consider part of my toolbox. You know, these phrases that help me snap me back into sanity. You know, in the now, all is taken care of. In this moment, all my needs are met. In this moment, I am not lacking. Now, if I think about somebody who I've lost, then I can sacrifice this perfect moment of now and go, oh, I wish they were here. I can sacrifice and go, I wish this was different. I wish this was, and then suddenly, whew, my perfect now is poison. Not only that, I'm not even here. My now is passing by. The only thing that ever exists for real is now. And when you are focused on things in the past that you wish were now, or things in the future that may happen, potential bad futures, how much time do we spend thinking about potential bad futures? It's crazy. But by doing that, by either sending our consciousness into the future to think about something that hasn't happened, or back in the past and wishing that that part of that was here, in both cases we are sacrificing the perfect now. We've gone, we've missed it, it's happening, and still time is ticking, but we're not even there. Now here's something that's crazy. I've found that the more I can snap back into the present, the slower time goes. I think one of the reasons why, time tends to go faster and faster as you get older, but I think that if you can practice on being present, time slows down. In fact, I think that, part of what nirvana is when these masters get to a place where they can be so present that in that present moment, they are aware of the infinite. There is so much that exists in every now that if you can be aware of it, that's eternity. And it doesn't matter chronological time, it's the awareness of that all. You don't have to, isn't there a William Blake thing about that? Feel eternity in a flower, something like that? I should really read more or memorize things or not punish my brain with excessive... What were we talking about?
It is an honor to share Valentine's Day. Should we have a Hug Nation hug now?
Well, sure.
All right. Well, let's everybody...
Hug yourself and think about somebody that, whoever you expect to be with tonight. We love you, brother and sister. Agape, Phileo, Eros.
Happy Hug Nation.
Happy Hug Nation.
Yay.
Good to have you. Oh, you can feel the heartbeat. Wonderful. Thanks for coming, everyone. They're delighted. Thank you so much. Life is beautiful. Thank you.
Love is stronger than fear. Love is stronger, love is stronger, love is stronger than fear.
My, what beautiful black hair you have. Thanks for coming. Oh, that's wonderful.
Love is stronger than fear. Love is stronger
Very
than
nice.
fear. Love is stronger than, love is stronger than, love is stronger than fear. Love is stronger than, love is stronger than, love is stronger than fear. Love is stronger than, love is stronger than, love is stronger than fear.
You only live once. Enjoy the color.